the other guys have been back on the podium. Carrying around everywhere. He's bought from the UK. But you know what? I got to do something like that. But I see that little thing. We just train alongside you, which you're not really going to walk away with much, because like once we sort of start lifting ourselves, all we normally do is just focus on ourselves. So what we do, we break you into a few groups and basically get trained. And me and Kevin will come around the groups and do some coaching with you, maybe make some tweaks and maybe give you some good advice based on that. And then once that's all over and done with, then me and Kevin will train at the end if that's okay with the group. So what sort of warm-ups do you guys do? Please don't tell me anyone takes 20 minutes to warm up.
An hour.
Yeah, I know Dan's sitting on the radiator and drink Monster. Okay, so what we do then, if you want to start warming up, we'll break off into groups.
You've got two there.
Yeah, we'll probably get two there and one group there. Has anyone got any preference what type of deadlift bar they deadlift on?
Yeah, deadlift bar.
Deadlift bar. There's the door. No quick power lifting, that's Dan's. Oh, sorry, Dad. Okay, so then we guys get warmed up. Me and Kevin find some bars, we lay the bars out and we get cracking from there. So.
Take your picture, and I'll take my picture.
Pierre Shillingford, 2 times British champion, 93 kilograms.
Is that a deadlift bar? Oh no.
Stiff bar.
The technician.
Pierre the technician Shillingford. Beltless.
Keep the bar in and you put for every single time. If you look at how Sarah's doing that over there, she goes down every repetition. So literally, so your normal competition deadlift. Good, and then back down. So again, just what you want to do is let the bar set your bar on the floor. So just relax, let the bar go on the floor, and then reset your back, and then lift. That's it, then go all the way down, let the bar reset on the floor. Don't worry about resisting or too much on the way down, because when you go heavy, that's going to waste a lot of energy.
Just chuck it.
And then down from there. I wouldn't quite say drop it, you lower the weight under control, not as controlled as that. So start your hips higher, tighten up, pull your shoulders back and down, and that's it. Stand up. Right, when you're there, you want to be hips forward. See there, you can hold that weight all day long if you have to. There, you put it more stress in your back.
It just makes it easier to rock out. Try to roll your foot a little so you want to do it.
That's really, really good. I like it.
You know, get tight. Don't like jerk the bar. Just get tight, kind of pull the foot into it. Press to the ground with your heels. So you can. So you're pressing it and fall. And then just try to get your legs tight up some of those. The best thing would be to start, get your hands and set up here. That way you can tighten your legs. Get attention on the bar. Bring your knee down for yourself. Instead of like being that position. Once you're in that starting position where the way you're doing it, it's like your back's already bent, and then you're just stuck there. So go here so your back can be straight. Get it tight. Pull a little tension, then pull yourself into position as much as you can.
Bar in. Bar in. You need to run the bar.
And then enough more.
Yeah, when you're at the start position of the deadlift, the only thing that's going to basically stop you from... If you think that's... if I put the lock on, what's the shortest distance from A to B? It's going to be a straight line. So if the bar path deviates and comes out and then goes back in again, you've just extended the distance the bar has to travel. So your whole idea when you deadlift is try and pull the bar up in a straight line. So basically, you're moving more efficiently and the bar travels less distance. That's better than that.
Just like that. Because he takes an hour to mobilise and warm up, Mr. Kevin Oak is starting now.
Pull your shoulders back and down. Keep your hips up a little bit higher, now pull from there. Can you feel the difference there? It's what you normally do. Right, what's the reason? The reason it's going to feel harder, if you're so used to doing something another one way, it's almost like, think your body is a computer. You have to reprogram your body to get stronger and a more efficient way. So sometimes you have to take a step back to take 2 steps forward. Yeah. But that looks much, much better, like it's more efficient.
Too much over the basket without going over before.
Yeah, you're a little bit too much over. If you think like powerlifting, the biggest mistake you can make in powerlifting is starting a lift the same way you would doing Olympic lifting. So that's the difference between deadlifting and doing like a power clean or something like that, is the way you start is completely different. But the key thing for you is shoulders back and down, so that's it, locked in. Now lift from there. Now you had an idea of what you're going to do, the bar actually moves faster. So see, if you pull your shoulders back, your shoulders are not locked in. So if you pull your shoulders down, you get less of a round hip position. So that's why it's shoulders back and down, and then now feel locked. But that look much, much better.
So like this one.
The technician at work, British champ Pierre Schillingford. There you go, there you go. I'm trying to hide it. I'm trying to hide it.
You're going to do right to lift it, and that's it, the weight will go up. No. Well, you've done that really well. So when I told you to pull away from the bars like you did earlier, you've done it on that lift, and that went up really, really easily. What's your best deadlift?
127.5.
I think you can beat that today, but it's up to your coach. So I saw her might be sponsored by next year, so she might be able to do it. Sorry? They should still have them, they were limited edition, but I can make them do more, so... And they might take them off, I saw them making some more.
Kev?
Everything in my legs and my glutes a couple times just to make sure they're activating. Usually then once I grab the bar and pull, like, I'm good to go.
If you notice the way Kevin's got his feet turned out, if any of you are weak off the floor on the deadlift, try rotating your feet out slightly. And you'd be quite surprised the difference it will make in terms of glute activation when you drive off the floor.
Another thing I was showing some of the guys over here. So there's a lot of ways to kind of like go through your position and your start position. A lot of people, they get down and everything, they try to get a tight breath down here. I have shitty lungs, so I can't. So I usually set up, and I come up here. I try to get my upper body tight first. Then up here, I take my deep breath here. Then I try to use the bar to stay tight and pull myself in. And that's usually how I push. I usually go off first.
Yeah, I'm very similar in terms of when I start breathing as well. I always breathe as I bring my hips down, and then once I've taken my full breath in, you won't see me set myself at the bottom and then breathe in next. Everything's really, really compressed to the bottom as well. So I don't feel I can take the full breath of air when I'm set in position. So as I'm going down into position, I'll take my breath in first. 11, 10 off and then 25 on. And also, he will still stay with me, sort of to a point with that.
That stretch is obviously that take it away from like your top end stuff.
What you've got to bear in mind is, when it comes to sort of stretching and warming up, you have to be specific to the individual.
Yeah.
So if you've got muscle imbalances that are creating a lot of tightness so you can't get into position, you're going to have to stretch to get in position. If you haven't got those muscle imbalances, you don't need to do it. A lot of energy warming up. I saved myself for my top end working sets.
I'm gonna try this double over.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Watch the first one. I can drop my phone right off.
That was fast.
An event in the Ukraine, and the criteria they put in place, whoever finished the highest place in the GB team on like, it's the powerlifting equivalent to Wilks points will get a place at the Olympics. So I thought, okay, yeah, that's cool. Then I flew out to the Ukraine, and when I arrived in the Ukraine, they basically changed it and said whoever places the highest in their weight class in Europe will go to the Olympic Games. Someone in the, I think it's the 64 kilo class, and it wasn't a very competitive category, and I think there's only like 10 lifters turned up, and I think like 2 bombed, and he finished 8th place. 105 kilos, there was probably like 35 lifters in my class, and in Europe it's basically the most competitive in weightlifting in the world, and I think I finished, I can't remember, maybe 12th or something like that, 14th. But I lost heart. As soon as I heard that person finished in 8th place, and I hadn't admit to anyone that I lost heart, I walked onto the platform and done 1 clean and jerk, and then after that I never put the same pair of lifting shoes back on again. I just retired from weightlifting at that point. And then I walked in the gym the following week, and the question people kept asking was the British champion in the quick powerlifting trained at the same gym as me, and they kept asking what would happen if you lift in the competition against him. So I thought, you know what, there's only one way to find out. So I went and done some research on the internet. I saw a video of Steve Goggins squat 500 kilos at the Arnold Classic. I thought, wow. When I saw Steve do that, I thought, yeah, this is a sport I want to do. So I just went away and done some research. I've read up a lot of West Side, learned how to do a wide side squats, even using some of the West Side approaches to do that, and went into powerlifting. The speed you done 100 meters was time.
This
is impressive.
About 22. Then I was like working on Wall Street and finance and stuff, just kind of lifting like a bodybuilder. Then around 26, 27, when I stopped doing finance, I was like, screw it, like I'll jump in a competition, kind of strong, like might as well. And then that was like 3 years ago, I just kept competing, just kept getting stronger, just loved it, kind of addicted.
What about your training? Did you ever do any high pulls or anything crazy like that?
Yeah, like I've tried to do clean and pressing and stuff, but it's not something that's it. It's pretty bad. I just don't have the mobility for it. But if I started when I was younger, I probably could have. In like high school or something. But not now.
In one go anymore. So
I don't eat that much, but in my like workout period of about, let's say 6-7 hours, I have about like 500 grams of carbs. Outside of that, I don't really eat that much. But that period,
you should have a soda break now.
I just carb up a lot for my training sessions. That's basically how I do it. It helps with dieting. So I know a lot of people, like a common question I get a lot is if you're trying to diet for like a training for a comp or whatever, where should you cut your carbs? So usually the way I do it is the last thing I cut is carbs around my workout. So if I want to cut carbs, it's good to start with like the off days from training. If I still need to cut more carbs, it's probably going to start with after training. But I never cut pre-workout carbs, I never cut workout carbs.
When it comes to cutting weight, just to say, Kevin is probably the best powerlifter in the world in terms of when he cuts weight and in terms of his performance after a weight cut. Without a shadow of a doubt. You see a lot of people, like weight cuts actually detrimental to their performance, but Kevin, you never see Kevin lift badly after a weight cut.
Would you walk around that? Would you walk around that?
Right now I'm like 240, 110 kg.
I'm heavier than Kevin.
The biggest cut I've done was like 248 to 220, which is like 12 and a half kilos, I think, right? No, that's more than that. No, it's like 12 and a half kilos, right? 28 pounds?
Yeah.
It's the biggest I've done. Got a world record. About, if I'm competing Saturday before I start water loading, 2 gallons a day of water, which is like, what is that, like 8 liters, I think? You guys have liters?
Yeah.
That's like 8 liters of water, 8 to 10. Do that for 3 days. Third day, I just drink as much water as humanly possible. About 40 hours out, I cut food, and like 36 hours out, I cut water. Then within about 20 hours out, most of the water will be out of me, but I'll still have like another 10, 12 pounds I have to cut. So I just go in the sauna or a hot bath, whatever, to sort out the rest.
If you overcut, do you ever eat
Never overcut it. Never. I wish that was a problem. But yeah, if you overcut, usually I tell my clients, if you overcut, you can just have like a little orange juice the morning of weigh-ins. You usually want like a little liquid with sugar in it to kind of hold you over, but you can't really do much. But yeah, if you overcut like a pound and a half. Just drink like a little orange juice or something like that.
What if you overcut like 2 kilos?
That's bad. You fucked up. You should not overcut that much. If you overcut, the amount you overcut, you can eat that much. So if you wake up and you're like 2 kilos under, like you can have breakfast. Just have fun. Just make sure you don't go over the weight, obviously.
You won't suddenly get like, you won't suddenly add like 5 kilos.
No, I mean, usually what's gonna happen is the night before, say you have like a 10 a.m. weigh-in or something like that, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., you're gonna wanna be about 1 kilo to 1.5 kilos away from the weight you have, because you might pee that out overnight. So when you wake up, you want to be within like 1 kilo of what you have to do. You take like a hot bath or something to get out of this. But you don't want to be like, you don't typically want to overcut. It's just going to hurt your performance for no reason.
So you'll have nice abs.
Sometimes, not today.
Beltless.
A lot of people that like grip their calluses a lot. It's usually because they hold the bar in their fingers. So when they're pulling, it spins a little bit, just rips that. Usually, like when you're supposed to hold it, you want to get as deep in your hand as possible. Like Delroy just said. And we do the same thing where we kind of like twist it to get it tight, and then pull.
That's what also, I think one of the big things when people deadlift, they probably squeeze the bar too hard. What I do is once my fingers are locked in, I don't squeeze hard at all, I just grip. So when you squeeze too hard, if you're going to do a long grinding lift, bear in mind, if you squeeze hard, your forearms are going to burn out much, much sooner. So that's one of the other considerations as well. I'd have 330.
Nice.
Time, and I'm going to compete again in April. So I'm going to do deadlift only in March, and then I'm going to compete full powerlifting league with knee sleeves in April. So that's how far ahead this my training's planned. But the two pulled one since I powerlifted, but with accessory work for the most part, you're going to attack your weak areas. So if you're very quad dominant already, then you're not going to waste your time on it. I walk up and I spin the bar right where there's a lot of chalk. Just make sure it's not too much chalk. Sometimes there's too much chalk, it spins on your head. That, and I just want to make sure like the bar is settled in one place. Just little nuances on it. Little pet peeves.
Done, Kevin. Hips in.
Woo. Nice.
You're getting tied into position, which sometimes will mess with your hips. So I like to stay double over. Try to stay symmetrical. So yes, with reps, I use straps. But if I had grip issues, I wouldn't. Or a lot of times, like if I'm training someone that I know has grip issues, I'll have them work up to a heavier single without straps, then go down for the volume work with these straps. A lot of people have a problem locking it out. If you do a deficit, it makes the range of motion longer, so you have to fight through all the way. Also, with a deficit, it makes you use leg drive better, so a lot of people have issues with. So if you start off wrong, with a deficit, like this, you just miss. With sumo, the hardest part is getting the bar moving. So doing block holds with sumo helps because you have to get that much tighter to pull more weight. Usually with a block weight, you pull more weight, so. Just like this next. Then we do sumo. And that's pull like conventional. So the knees are forward, the hips aren't opening up, and they're kind of just pulling like in this fashion. That is wrong. With conventional, you're kind of in this motion, you're straight back and forth. With sumo, the way to get the efficiency out of it is getting your hips as open as possible and getting your hips under you as much as possible so you can kind of lock your upper body and in a way make it passive, but all you're doing is driving with your legs. So a lot of people do this. You want to be like this and open as much as possible.
If you want a really, really good reference video on how to pull sumo, look at the video Ed Cohn done with Mark Bell. They're absolutely excellent. And if you want good reference material, how to pull sumo, because Ed explains all of this about mobility. Because like Kevin said, a lot of people go too wide for their level of mobility. And if you do that, it's going to be completely detrimental. And to be honest, in my opinion, not worth pulling sumo at all if your mobility won't allow you to get in the right position. And also with sumo, what people do is basically switch to sumo for a short-term fix. So you see a lot of guys who might have a weakness in the lower back, rather than work on the weakness in the lower back, will just jump to sumo to get a quick 10 kilo gain and never go and address the weakness. So before you make any changes like that, you always have to address weaknesses before you make the change.
The tendency to lock your knees and your hips at the same time. With sumo, with the efficiency, basically what you're trying to do is develop as much speed off the ground as possible. So you want to drive the bar through your knees, accelerating it, and lock them out as soon as possible. So a lot of times you're going to get to here, and what people do is they don't lock their knees out, and then they just get stuck over here. What you want to do is just drive as far as you can, lock your knees, and then come back.
If you ever use these straps, don't drop the bar.
Things like that, especially like a meat prep. When you start maybe with like a 7 rep max, each week just up to like 10, 20 pounds or something like that with the squat. Usually works for me. It's like at the beginning of the cycle, you kind of start light, then you just build up.
Yeah, that's pretty much
what we're trying to hit. Usually I end with like a heavy double or a heavy triple. If I use a percentage, it would really just be like a starting point for a base in the training cycle.
You get lifters from across the world, but yeah, some of the things we do the same, and some of the things can be a little bit different. But it's nice to hear when you do things some of the same, you can like compare it to other people. Like what I do compared to Kevin compares really, really well. But some lifters, what they do compared to me is complete different extremes. So notice we've both done the deadlift and we've just done a secondary deadlift exercise. But notice our exercise selection is a lot different for many reasons.
For me, I do sumo because my hammies and my glutes are very weak compared to my quad. And my hip mobility kind of sucks. This helps me work it.
Yeah, you said earlier you don't really.
Good at doing the pause, and that's not really the goal. The goal is to get better at the main lift. So you don't want to like change your style of doing that lift to kind of like be more efficient with the pause. You want to do the lift like you're doing the lift with the pause. If that makes sense.
And also rotation of exercise as well. Don't just think, right, every single week, unless you're sort of a beginner with relevant weakness, that you're going to do the same variation every week with your secondary exercise. If you've got a weakness, then just do slightly different variations so your body don't completely adapt to one exercise.
With the largest collection of Disney films.
Okay.
Make bedtimes dreamy with the Disney
I think Tom Martin done this one, didn't he?
Turn your car into a cabin.
I'm comparing myself. Hurts my ego.
Disney life. Unlimited.
No, that's all right to compete with that.
At least your high bar is back, man.
Sorry?
At least your high bar is back.
I'm getting switched. I switched this year. Sorry? I switched to low bar this year. Right away. I mean, your bench is gonna suck after this.
My back starts already.
Calm down.
Push. Push.
Nice. Damn.
Once you got an idea of something you want to do in your head, the music's irrelevant after. The music just gets you to that point.
Straight hamstrings. So the stiff legs, like you're staying straight up and down. For Romania, push your hips back, stretch your hamstrings as you move down. Usually you do like push on that.
No, but not when you're doing remainers. There's another way you can do this as well. If you've got someone who's like a weakness in the back and they really struggle to keep their back nice and straight, you can make it specific to deadlifting by keeping the bar in closer. So, you pull the bar up, and then what you do, you won't bend your legs as much all the way down, so you bend it up the knee, keep it in close there, and then up.
Looks like a dimple.
No, it's almost like a cross between sort of the remaining. But I find that when I used to have problems like hamstring injuries and like hamstring tears, I went back to doing that to recover from the injury. And what I've done, since literally within 2 or 3 days of tearing my hamstring, I went in and done these and literally done them quite a lot of work, like 2 or 3 times a week, but very, very light to get circulation there. And it healed much, much faster than me just staying at home resting and doing nothing. So all you need to do is just switch your variations up a little bit, depending on what your needs are and what you actually want to gain from them. And I think that's the important thing, is knowing what you want to gain from them. With PBs as well. If anyone has any questions they forgot to answer while they're here, you can always send me a message via Facebook or some form of social media. I will get back to you. It might take me a little while, not too long, but I will get back to you. I'm normally pretty good at replying to my messages.
Same for me.
Appreciate you all coming, and again, the money you've brought in today coming here is helping the charity as well, so a lot of good's coming from this. But I said, but I don't mean to be disrespectful to people. Not a lot of people would have sort of done something like this. A lot of people are out for what they're trying to get, but I'd rather put something back into the sport and then sort of give knowledge that way to other people rather than sort of hide knowledge from you. And like I said, in powerlifting, as much as people like to make out, there are no secrets. All it is just doing things the right way and work out what works for you. If someone's trying to sell you a secret, then basically you're giving money away for nothing, because there are no secrets. It's about working hard and actually doing the right things for your body type and working out how you train best for yourself. And also being honest with yourself as well. Some people won't be honest with themselves, like we talked about variations. They get so engrossed and enjoy doing the variation because they're strong in it. The variations you should be doing are the ones you're not strong at that feel like crap. Because chances are that's where your weakness is, so you need to work on your weaknesses. Before we wrap this up, any questions from anyone?
Yeah, we're only stiff leg dead.
Sorry?
Stiff leg dead.
Yeah.
Did you ever go over under? Always over.
A lot depends on, to be honest, I'll be honest, I normally always use straps. Because I don't, like, if I'm doing sets of 8 or 10, I don't want to beat my hands up, so when I deadlift off the floor, I tear calluses off and lose my grip. So I'll be honest, I'll always use straps. If you've got a weak grip, I'll probably recommend basically using the over-under, simply because you don't really want to be worrying about grip. And also if you're doing high reps, you've got time under tension in your grip as well. And the grip is specific to your deadlift grip. So it's even more specific than a sort of a double overhand. And if you really want to work on your grip strength as well, what you could do, this is a really good one, and I learned this from Lawrence Chardley, is basically set the weight up in the power cage, where the bar's probably just below hip level, and actually grip the bar behind you and stand up and do timed holds. If you grip the bar there, the bar can rest on your thighs, so it takes a lot of the tension away from your grip. If you've got your hands behind you, the bar's not holding on to anything, you've got no friction to hold the bar, so it's purely in your fingers. And bear in mind, the bar's the same diameter as a deadlift bar, so it's going to have a specific carryover. When you do things with fit grips and stuff like that, it don't always have a good carryover to your deadlift. Like a lot of guys might be able to do a lot more than me on a rolling thunder, but they can't grip a deadlift bar the way I can. So you just got to be doing things specific to like your needs. Yeah, sure.
So probably it's relevant too, because you've probably got really good range of motion for what you're doing. But I was wondering what kind of mobility work you do. So obviously lots of people do lots of stuff with beastie balls and bands and stretchers, and there's a bit of a view that you should do mobility separate from your training.
Yeah, if I do any mobility at all, like for example, I don't need to warm up the way Kevin does and do the level of mobility or work before he trains. So I don't need to do that. But on my days off, then I'll add a little bit of mobility working, just basically to sort of aid recovery. And if I've got any like specific tight muscle groups I need to work on, I'll do them on my rest days. You would not see me in the gym before training unless I've injured myself and I'm coming back rolling around the foam roller for 20 minutes before I start. You won't see that. I might do it at home before I go to the gym, but you won't see it.
With me, it's mostly, I just have very tight hips, hamstrings, and glutes. Most of my mobility is just targeted towards that. It's kind of like you said, where it's like, you kind of got to attack what's tight. If you're not tight, then you don't really have to do as much mobility. If you are, you just have to figure out what mobility you have to do for those tight areas.
And also, just out of interest, how many of you guys actually use a foam roller before training? Here's something to think. I'm not saying you could do anything wrong. Here's something to think about. Throughout a powerlifting lift, the whole idea is to maintain tightness throughout the whole lift. So if you're basically stimulating the muscles to relax before you lift, what are you teaching your body to do throughout the lift? So you can potentially cause an injury that way. And the way the foam roller works is basically you stimulate the Golgi tendon organ to basically reduce tension in the muscle. So if you've got no specific sort of muscle imbalances or weaknesses, like in the muscle, I wouldn't recommend foam rolling before training. But if you've got a direct muscle imbalance that basically is causing you sort of pain or movement issues, then I'd advocate foam rolling before training. So it comes down to a very, very individual thing. So I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it's just something to go away and think about.
I usually stretch before mostly and roll after, which is kind of what works for me.
And you've got to bear in mind, if you look at when Kevin, basically his foundations from sprinting. So when you watch sprinters warm up, they do a lot of stretching before training. So he's done that from a very, very young age. So his body's got so used to doing that, it's something he'll have to continue doing pretty much throughout his career. So when your body's got like specific, if you start off doing something like that, or like you have direct targets and you have to continue, like for example, if you look at a gymnast, most gymnasts can never stretch again for their entire lives after they finish their career, but they'll still be a lot more mobile than the next person because that foundation's set. So sometimes when you've got a set foundation, you have to train towards how that foundation's set.
It's like Dan Green, he was a gymnast.
Yeah. So he never has to stretch.
Similar, no problem.
So again, his foundation's set there.
Yeah, because I guess you can do mobility work when your range of motion changes, and then you might need to make technical adjustments.
Yeah, so if you change your mobility, then you've always got to make allowances in terms of technical changes for that increased mobility. Because at the end of the day, throughout your lift, if you're
So nice one, mate. Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
the setup and everything from this place. When you see the next few deadlifts, I'm showing the video.
Alright everyone, so deadlift party went awesome, I think. I don't know. I guess I'll find out if it was bad through reviews or something online. We're out to dinner at this wonderful Turkish restaurant. I got some awesome lamb, some very flavorful lamb over here. I think he wants to make sure it's good. I got some lamb. I definitely need some protein at the moment.
Yeah.
There's my side of rice. Lydia has a nice veggie meal going on.
You ordered chips? You did. There you are.
Delroy, what do you have? Delroy pulled 330 kg for 5. Someday I'll be able to do that. What do you have, Delroy?
That is also it's a fantastic experience training with Kevin, but next time we have to do squats.
Yes.
Definitely. I'll get my ass kicked, but definitely have to squat.
And we got some of Delroy's friends who are nice enough to come out. What do you guys have going on?
Chicken pizza.
Nice.
Nice.
And another chicken pizza. Don't say that hook you up and get you in a Kevin Oak video.
And that's it. I gotta eat. I'm hungry. I haven't had food in 7 hours, so that's a wrap.